We welcome to the show, Neil Barnett. How's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, I'm just about getting into the World Cup, which I despise mostly, but it's money making, um, total, total obsession. Who does that remind me of? Oh, the hedge fund owners of Chelsea, and I'm getting over the season, which. There's a lot said about what's been happening at Chelsea since the new owners took over. And it's all basically directed about recruitment, philosophies, um, uh, projects. Um, but aside from anything else, the football's just been so boring.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Mm,
I
mm.
mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad was it last season, in your opinion?
Oh, come on. I lived through I think the worst time ever was the end of the 80-81 season when I think we scored in three out of 22 games. So it wasn't that bad, you know.
No.
But it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
Mm.
For the modern Chelsea, it was bad, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I I think, funnily enough, the UEFA conference a couple of seasons ago kind of did a bit of a disservice. At the time, it was very useful for a bloated squad that wasn't good enough. It gave a lot of players a lot of games. Um, but because those games were against sides who were so very, very poor, and Chelsea in the main got a result, and often quite a big result, those players weren't considered as unready for elite competition as they, to me, clearly were. And so they were still involved last season. And last season, the one just finished, that is, you couldn't bring any of them in really in the Champions League games. So you had this group of 14 or 15 who had to start all the games. And having a bloated squad made no difference. And when you did start other people, away to Paris Saint-Germain, at home to Paris Saint-Germain, they were embarrassing.
Yeah, they were. It's
Mm.
quite funny. I saw you outside, what's that burger joint at Chelsea? Five Guys before the PSG game.
Where I've never been in. Well, I have been in to meet people, but never been in to buy.
It's not a bad burger, actually, not bad.
Not for me.
But anyway, yeah, I had a little conversation with you
Mm,
then, yeah, and you wasn't confident, I wasn't confident, and so it turned out.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I do think that the I do think that the Club World Cup uh, forcing a 3 week break and not a proper pre-season killed the team this last season. And I think that every sympathy should be given to the players for that. And some of the fall-offs in quality in post New Year, Cucurella, who's now gone, Caicedo, um, were really quite extreme, and for me quite forgivable. Chalobah in the last quarter of the season, he took a bit longer. And those players who were playing all the time, the only one who really managed to keep going with breaks of one or two games where it wasn't up to scratch was Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah. And what do you think about Cucurella leaving? Is it a big blow, or what do you think about it?
I, as many people will know, I write on Substack, substack.com under the Joy of Football, the podcast I share with Martin Tyler. And I did my player ratings, and I gave him 6 out of 10. And just noted what had happened in the second half of the season, the sending off at Fulham. He was outrun by Hakimi embarrassingly on two of the eight goals against Paris Saint-Germain conceded. He was outrun by a geezer I didn't even know from Nottingham Forest for the first two goals in the home game at Stamford Bridge. He fell off a cliff. But my point was more than a rest, I just felt he needed a change of attitude because I think that his gamesmanship, which he likes to practice in every game, was getting on everyone's nerves. And I don't mean Chelsea supporters, I mean opponents and I mean officials. And I think a lot of iffy decisions, not extreme decisions, but a lot of 51-49 decisions went against Chelsea because of his conduct. And I blame officials for a lot of things, but I can't blame them for that because he was a pain in the freaking ass. And that's from somebody who is so popular amongst his colleagues. So I felt he needed not just a good break, but a good think about what he was trying to do and a change of attitude. Will we miss him? Of course, we'll flipping miss him. He's one of the best left backs. He's become one of the best left backs in the world. And I think that Earl Hatto is a very good-looking player. Silky, he's got an unbelievable leap, but I think he's a little too short and a little too lightweight to be a centre back. I think he's not quite ready to play every week as a left back. And I think he made more mistakes than people realise for goals. If you watch goals back like I do, every goal, yeah, there's a lot to his game, but there's a lot that needs to be added. So it will be a drop in quality. Now, we might sign a left back. We might play a different shape. If we played three at the back, you could imagine Hatto being pretty useful on the left of the back three, half centre back, half left back. But you don't lose Cucurella and not notice it. What I would say is, we all know the story now about his autistic son. And I think someone of 27 years old would not want to miss out on a year in the Champions League. And do you know what? I don't blame him. I don't blame him because it wasn't his fault that he got no break. It wasn't his fault that there are players who aren't good enough. And I won't blame Enzo Fernandez if he goes age 24 for the same reason. There are a lot of things that I do blame Enzo for, from the song on the Argentine bus to just the outburst about some of his outbursts are just unnecessary about the departure of Maresca and the arrival of Rosenior, but I wouldn't blame him either. These players need to play in the Champions League, and the club hasn't really given them an opportunity to do that.
In a funny way, though, will it work to our advantage that we won't be playing in Europe? I think it will in the league. I think we'll have a better season as a result in the league.
No,
No?
it never works to your advantage not playing in the Champions League. You can get less income. It certainly won't work to Clear Lake's advantage. No, you won't attract the good players. No. Listen, Rosenior came in and got some really good results, albeit against not good opposition against whom he should have got good results, but some really good results, and had some not bad performances. It was much more front foot than it had been under Maresca, and lamented the lack of opportunity, as he considered himself such a good coach, to get any coaching done, because we had midweek games, Carabao Cup semi-finals, the last two league games of the league stage of the Champions League, FA Cup. We had all these midweek games. And when he finally got rid of the midweek games and had an opportunity to coach the team during the week, they collapsed. So either he's not a good coach, and I have no reason to believe that, or it's not an advantage.
Mm.
not to be
I'm
in.
just thinking back, and obviously we had a better squad then, and I'd say a better manager as well. Conte, that season where we won the league, I'm not saying we're going to do anything like that, but of course we weren't playing in Europe that season, so I'm
No,
thinking
but
potential.
I heavily disagree with you.
Okay.
You're right that we weren't playing in the Champions League that season, but Antonio Conte is what I call an ABC manager. Now, he is one of the all-time greats in domestic football, league football, with
Mm.
his three consecutive Serie A triumphs with Juventus, winning it in his first season with Chelsea, winning it in, I think, his second season with Inter Milan, winning it in his first season with Napoli. I mean, he is a true legend and great. But his record in Europe is awful. And his record in seasons when his teams are in Europe isn't as good as his record when they're not. Now, you could say that's because he has more time to work with the players. But I think if you're an ABC manager, whereby all the players are given three things that they can do when they get the ball, A, B, or C, and everybody must be in position in order to field that, then you need all that coaching time between games in order to turn them into the robots you require. And that is what Conte is brilliant at. But they are robots. And that is why they don't do well in Europe. Because in Europe, it's not just about being well organized and being about a good slave. It's about being a visionary and being an elite player who can make their own decisions. I feel that the philosophers who have taken over Chelsea in recent years, whether it be the directors of football or Graham Potter or Enzo Maresca or um, Liam Rosenior, I nearly said Leroy Rosenior. I saw Leroy Rosenior play a lot. It's a good player. It's a good player. Um, uh, I think they take away from players as much as they add to them. And I still believe, and I'm sick of Chelsea supporters saying we should never have hired Pochettino, he's Tottenham. It doesn't exist in the professional world, that kind of thinking. It's not how managers and players think. I thought it was awful the way Conor Gallagher was booed at home to Tottenham because he'd gone to Spurs. Of course, he'd gone to Spurs because we didn't want him, ditched him, and he went to Atletico. He couldn't hold down the first team place there, and he got a chance to play in the Champions League with Tottenham. So and he got good money. Of course, he went there. To boo him was just lacking in class. And and Pochettino, of course, he was more Tottenham than Chelsea, but he was the only manager we've had long term in the era of these sporting directors and this owner who didn't come in with a philosophy and tried to build a team around the players he had. And it was during his last 4 months that Gusto, that Chalobah, that Cucurella, that Enzo Fernandez, that Nicholas Jackson, that Noni Madueke all improved radically, and that Cole Palmer hit top form for the first time. It was during him, and if you look at the second half of Maresca's season, uh, and that the second half started early with a 0-0 draw at Everton in December before Christmas, uh, after which the performances fell away. Those players were never as good again. And I actually think that we needed Pochettino for another year. I mean, Poch hasn't got a history of winning
No.
trophies, but he has got a history of improving players. And if I can just list, if people can bear it, those
On top.
Tottenham players that he improved, when you look at people like Danny Rose, like Moussa Dembele, like Kyle Walker, like Dele Alli, uh, um, like Harry Kane, Song and Min. I mean, he got the best out of all those players, and they all fell away when he left, apart from Harry Kane and Son Heung-min maybe, and and um, uh, and he got our players playing. Yeah, you didn't see a philosophy; you just saw hard work at the training ground and hard work.
That
Um,
that season was very funny though, I felt, because to me, the last game of the season, obviously, and then he got sacked. It felt like everybody was on
he
board
didn't
and
get
things.
sacked.
Well, he left, yeah,
He left by mutual consent because he and the sporting directors and owners
didn't get on,
understand each other.
yeah. But it was weird because it felt like we were turning a corner, and then you hear this news. That's what I mean. I'm not saying I was like on board for the whole season. I wasn't really. I was sort of like, yeah, we're doing all right. But then, as you say, the last couple of months we really
It was
kicked
the
off.
last 4 months. It
Yeah.
was the last 4 months. We won the FA Cup replay 3-1 at Aston Villa.
Hmm.
Uh, and that was the real turning point. And we then were dreadful in the next game, I think at Crystal Palace, but Conor Gallagher got a couple of goals and we won 3-1 in extra time. And Nicholas Jackson got booked for running across the pitch and celebrating after he'd been substituted. I think that led to another suspension. But yeah. I mean, I've said this so many times, but my experience working inside Chelsea all those years is that players improve until they're 21, and then basically that's it. And they'll mature after that, and so that will help them improve more. But they're physically pretty well grown by the time they're 21, and they don't tend to get that much better. Um, and therefore the players that you sign at 18, 19, 20, 21, expect them to grow into world-class players, mostly doesn't happen. And then you just get the rare examples of people who between 21 and 24 rocket into these phenomenal players. And those are the unique ones. But if you build a squad of all mostly 18 to 22-year-olds, then you have mostly people who aren't very good at 24, but one or two would be really, really good. Now, if you go back 20 years to the successful clubs, the Manchester Uniteds, the Arsenals, and what have you, most of the players they signed, 23 was the youngest because they wanted ready-made players to go into a team to be successful. Now 23 is the oldest, with clubs with philosophies, and you expect them all to improve, and they don't. If you knew anything about football, that's not a shock.
Well, we all know that we need experience in the team. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? But do we realistically think that's going to happen?
I think we need more than experience. I think we need quality. I think we're desperately lacking in quality. Um, uh, Look, João Pedro hasn't been taken to the World Cup, and everyone saw Igor Thiago's absolutely woeful performance against Morocco and said, why isn't João there? Well, the reason João isn't there is that he was awful for Brazil. He hasn't scored a goal in the games that he's played, or really looked like scoring one. And if you look at João's season for us, now, do I think João Pedro should have been Player of the Year? Yes, I do. I do. So I think he had a good season, 20 goals. I think he had a good season. No, I don't. I think he had a goodish season. No one had a good season.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have objected to Enzo Fernandez winning Player of the Year, whose figures really were getting into Frank Lampard territory, 15 goals in the season. But Zhao, yeah, no, I think he deserved it. But he scored two headers from corners in the first three games, West Ham away and Fulham at home. He didn't score for about 10 games after that. He was pretty absent as a centre forward, pretty lightweight. He was off and on as a number 10.
I can't think
When,
off the top of my head, but how many goals has he got in the cups, for example? I think he.
well, no, what I think is more important is that when Maresca left New Year's Day, he had 7 goals in 20 plus 4 appearances, I think it was. Pretty damned unremarkable. And the interesting thing to me is that in the first few weeks of Rosenior's terrible, terrible period.
Yeah.
Uh, Rosenior said he'd had 4 long meetings with João Pedro, just talking about football. And from there on, João Pedro started scoring goals on a regular basis. And a lot of them were penalty area goals. He was putting away crosses that were coming across the 6 yard box on a regular basis. I don't know if people realize, but he only scored 3 goals in the last 15 games. So basically, his thriving period was
Rosenior.
under Rosenior, who may well have given him some very good advice. I've got no other evidence for this. It's just what I witnessed, um, and I think he looks as though he could be a really, really top centre forward. Could be,
Hmm.
but he wasn't last season. But he was for a short period. Liam Delap won't be. Although to be fair to Liam Delap, he joined us in time for the beginning of the Club World Cup, had no break, savaged his hamstring on the third game of the season, and never got fit. And you can see that he needs to do a lot of hard work to get fit. So he may be a different player with a full preseason. I don't know.
We hope
Um,
so, but looking at his performances last year, you wouldn't think that, he would be one
but
of
they
the
weren't. They weren't. They
starters, would
weren't.
he?
They weren't. And if you're watching this, Liam, I mean it with all the love in the world. They weren't intelligent. But uh, João Pedro looks as though he's quite an intelligent footballer. And but is he an out and out centre forward? I'm not convinced. Still, Liam Delap, is he good enough? I'm not convinced. Mark Guéhi, Mark,
It's hard to tell, isn't it? I haven't seen much of him. He's played a little bit, hasn't he? He's got a good physique, and you can imagine him holding up the ball. But
he's
yeah,
he's he's Amanda Brozier. He's a
mm,
charger.
yeah.
He doesn't do anything else. He just charges. Um, no. Um, he needs to go somewhere where he'll play, and it needs to be a lot lower than Chelsea or Barcelona. He shouldn't be at our club. Um, and whoever signed him shouldn't be at our club.
And
Um,
with the Maresca, well, sacking him, leaving, etc. Do you think he engineered this? That's just some theory that some people have that because the only reason I say that is because before that moment where he talked to the press about what he
his
said
worst
about
24 hours.
exactly of my life,
Yeah.
he'd never said anything like that. Unless it had built up over a long period of time and it just exploded. But it's an interesting theory. Not saying it's right or wrong, but what do you think about that?
I think didn't win in his last 7 games in charge. And that had happened the previous Christmas with Everton, where we went on that bad run, lost at home to Fulham, lost away to Ipswich. Um, ABC manager, do this, do that, do this. Oh, God, drives me out the wall. Um, uh, and I don't know if he engineered it. I wouldn't like to say. Um, but I don't think. I have another theory.
Go on.
Um, well, not a theory, a philosophy. Well, let's get into Chelsea mode. Um, Players get tired and they need a rest. Managers get tired and they need a rest, but they never get one. Why do you rest players for the Carabao Cup ties and not rest the managers? Why doesn't the manager say to a couple of his staff, I'm going away for 3 days. You're in charge of this game. I'll be back in time for the game, but you'll be in charge of the game as well. But I'll be there if you need me. I'm taking a few days off. I thought watching Maresca's press conferences online, I thought that his eyes looked dead from the beginning of the season. And I thought that he just looked absolutely exhausted. So who knows whether that, whether frustration with the not replacing Levi Colwill, in which he was proved right, playing out from the back. Who knows if the constant failure of Chelsea to make a fist of playing out from the back. Who knows if it was just uh, in the end of the line. I don't know. I don't know. But if I
All
could hold up one
speculation.
game,
But
if I could hold up one game, I'd hold up the Bayern Munich away game in the Champions League. Because having come up with a different tactic to your philosophy against Paris Saint-Germain in the final of the Club World Cup, and Sanchez hitting these long balls over Nuno Mendes for Gusto to gallop for, uh, and Pedro to compete for, and Palmer to roam into space and kill. Uh, he repeated that against Bayern Munich, except not alone as the tactic. He mixed it up with playing out from the back. And the second goal, Harry Kane's penalty, uh, which he won, Kane, was won after Caicedo had lost the ball on the edge of the penalty area. And the third goal, which Kane scored, was scored from Malo Gusto pass playing out from the back to Harry Kane. So that I believe that it's great to play out from the back. I think everyone should play out from the back, providing they fulfill two requirements. And those two requirements are your players mustn't be crap. And we've played too many games where the players have been crap from those conference games on. And secondly, they've got to be better than the opposition. Because even if they're good and the opposition are better, don't play out from the back.
yeah.
Um,
To be honest, it does wind me up as a supporter. I've never liked it, if I'm honest. I understand it's
no, it's
part of
great. It's
the
great if
modern
you're the
game.
better players. It's
Hmm.
much better if you're the better players. But if you're not the better players, it becomes a problem. And there was this statistic last season that Chelsea ran less, covered less ground than all the opponents in the Premier League, apart from the away game at Liverpool. Um, Covered less ground. And everyone put that down to attitude or philosophy or tactics or whatever. And no one put it down to no break in the summer and no pre-season. But I'm convinced that's what it was about. I blame FIFA and I blame the Premier League, who should have given Chelsea a 2 week extra break before starting the league season. And I blame maybe the sporting directors, maybe because I don't know the details, for not demanding it and making public that it was required. And everyone goes on, well, Paris Saint-Germain didn't suffer from it. But Paris Saint-Germain won the league in France with 8 fewer points. Dembele only started 11 games. Marquinhos only started 11 games. Doué only started 14 games. And I've forgotten the rest, but hardly anyone started 20 games. We had Cucurella, Chalobah, Caicedo, João Pedro, who was at the Club World Cup, don't forget, Enzo Fernandez, all starting over 30 games.
I do think we pass
Sanchez,
it back, though, too much. And something I don't understand, just as a supporter watching it, they know this causes problems. You see us concede goals from it a lot. If you look at it from a percentage point of view, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but it would be a lot of goals, wouldn't it, that we concede from passing it backwards. But they never seem to address this, and they think that there's nothing they can do about it. Why? I just don't get it personally.
I'll give you another one.
Go on.
Uh, why is it now the thing? And we're not the only club doing this, but we are one of the worst on defending set plays that you put your smallest players Caicedo and Fernandez on blocking their
Yeah.
biggest players. Because for me, we should concede a penalty every frigging time. Every time. Uh, I I have many an argument with Martin Tyler, who always uh, sees the practical difficulties of my passion. Um, uh, I believe that the laws of the game are hopeless. And I believe that the laws of the game should exist from the first whistle to half time and from the opening whistle of the second half to the end of the game. You can be sent off when the ball's not in play. So why can't you commit a foul when the ball's not in play? And if there is a corner and a foul takes place in the penalty area, the laws of the game ought to be updated that the foul when the ball is dead uh, is takes over from the last decision, footballing decision in line with the laws of the game. So if a defender fouls a forward in the penalty area at a corner, it's a penalty. And if a forward fouls a defender, it's a free kick to the defending team. And Martin will say to me, but they're fouling each other. And I said, there's one that does it first, and VAR will tell you.
Do you think they have to get on top of grappling in the box?
I think they have to learn the laws of the game. It's not allowed.
Hmm.
It's absolute wimpishness from the officials of the game. It's not allowed. I remember when about 2005-06 in the FA Cup, I think Robert Hoos scored a goal with a header, and John Terry blocked, or it might have been the other way round. And I remember John Terry being interviewed afterwards and asked if he thought that wasn't a foul. He said, no, no way. And I was sitting there thinking, of course it was a bloody foul. It couldn't have been clearer. Of course it was a foul. Blocking, it's a foul. If you're going for the ball together and there's a collision, it's not a foul. If you're going together for the ball and it's grappling, it may not be a foul. If you're going one for the ball and one stopping the other one, it's a foul. If you're not looking at the ball when the corner is taken and then you block the player, it's a foul.
Hmm.
I mean, these are the laws of the game. And Chelsea break them every game on a regular basis. And I find it embarrassing. And Mark was the worst. And I found it embarrassing. And I should, and so I think officials will have turned against that. But I also think the officials are embarrassing for not getting on top of it. They're useless. They're bloody useless.
Yeah, they do need to get on top of it. And of course, Alonso's been appointed now as Chelsea manager. Are you excited by this appointment?
When Chelsea went up to Liverpool in 2009, I think it was, in the Champions League and won by 3-1, Branislav Ivanovic arrived on the scene with two of the goals. Um, uh, and I did Chelsea TV live before the game, uh, and I said it would be 1-1. And I was asked who would score our goal, and I said Ivanovic. I'm just being stupid. He hadn't scored a goal. I knew he scored a goal in lots of goals in Russia, where he played before he came to us. I just said it for fun.
Too.
When his second goal went in, I got a text from someone saying, "Bloody hell! I hope you put money on that. You're going to be a billionaire." I didn't. But we won 3-1. We had completely outplayed Liverpool, and I got told after the game that was their best team of the Benitez era, even though it wasn't the one that won the Champions League, with Mascherano and Alonso in midfield and Gerrard playing number 10 behind Torres. And I got told the tactics of that game were that you closed down Alonso with two people when he got the ball, and you let Mascherano have it because he was hopeless with the ball in comparison to Alonso, who was a world-class distributor of the ball. And it worked a treat. And of course, Mascherano finished up going back into defence, didn't he, when he went to was it Barcelona he went to? Um, uh, Xabi Alonso was a great footballer. Um, at Bayer Leverkusen, everything worked. Was it great coaching or was it ABC coaching? I don't know. I don't know. At Real Madrid, it didn't work. Was it because it was ABC coaching, or was it because Real Madrid had bought too many, had bought a Galactico who destroyed their team? He didn't destroy the team, Kylian Mbappe, because he is the best player in the world for me. But buying him destroyed the team because they already had the second best player in the world, Vinicius Junior, who plays in the same position. And if you do that, you will destroy the team. And that is what happened for me. Also, the aging of some of their best players, including Antonio Rudiger, Tony
Yeah.
Kroos, Luka Modric. It, um, it, the team fell away. Um, so I don't know the ins and outs of Xabi Alonso, the coach. I haven't seen his teams in the flesh. I don't know.
Time will tell.
So I'm open-minded about him, but as a player, he was a world-class player. So
But I mean, compared to the other people who were tipped for the job, I think it is a bit more exciting. I mean, the manager from Bournemouth was tipped, wasn't he?
Tony Iraola, uh,
I wasn't excited about that one
I
personally.
was,
You was.
yeah.
Go on then.
I mean, I'm excited about Xabi Alonso as well,
Yeah.
but Bournemouth are such an entertaining team. I interviewed him once, Iraola, uh, and I said to him, most small clubs that survive in the Premier League have edge. Brentford, edge, and Crystal Palace, edge, uh, and I can't remember the other one I said. Burnley trying to play football under Vincent Company, it doesn't work. Other teams trying to play football hasn't worked because their players aren't good enough. You come in and brought in playing football, and Bournemouth have thrived. Why? What's happened? And he said, I didn't come in with the philosophy to play football like this. He said, I went down this path because of the players. I think they're good enough to do it. And so that was the way I chose to play. There's nothing wrong with playing with edge. There's nothing wrong with playing more directly. And often you have to do it if you've got those kind of players. I didn't think we had those kind of players. I was I was amazed. He actually defended the Brentfords and the Crystal Palaces and what have you. And I'm really impressed by him. I'm really impressed. And
He's gone to Liverpool now, hasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't. I know more about him as a manager than Xabi Alonso because I've seen Bournemouth play more.
Mm.
So I'm hoping that Xabi Alonso will be the best manager in the world, but I haven't got a clue.
No. Yeah, it'd be interesting. And as you say, will he be a philosophy manager or will he be able to mix it up as a manager, play different formations, play different ways? It's
I'm not bothered by that. I don't think that's important. I think what's important is that you look at your players and you say, what's the best way to get the best out of this lot? Not, I know the best way to get the best out of anyone, and it's the same way every time.
yeah.
And I don't know the best way to get the best out of these players at the moment. I have to admit. What I do know is the best way isn't to play 4-1-4-1, which is what Enzo Maresca played, um, because with a fullback going into midfield, so it almost becomes 3-2-5-1, because that what he said was overloaded area of midfield, and I say was overcrowded area of midfield. The gridlock is what denied Cole Palmer space, and I think that really damaged his form. Cole Palmer was always best coming off the right with a fullback wingback bombing past him. But Enzo doesn't believe in fullbacks going up and down the flanks. He said that many a time. And I think that really damaged Palmer. But I don't know if Palmer thinks that. And maybe he just got tired and lost his form. I don't know. Um, what I do know is when everything came back at the end of Enzo's first season, Palmer was back on top of his form, and it was down to him that everything came back. The two assists in the conference final, the absolutely world-class performance in the Club World Cup final. He had an outstanding game at Bayern Munich when Maresca played half and half. Uh, uh, the way against PSG and his own way. He scored a wonderful goal in that same way, a little 1-2 with gusto and a far corner shot. And he had another goal disallowed for marginal offside that could have changed the outcome of the game. Um, but the next game was against Manchester United when he went off after 20 minutes at Old Trafford. And he didn't play again until December. And everyone didn't react to lack of preseason. So, but look at how the players are and find a way of playing with them is what I think is the best way. Tuchel came in and played 3-2-4-1 to get the best out of Kante, he said.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but he doesn't play that with England. He's only played 4-2-3-1 with England.
I suppose it's looking at the players and thinking what's best for them. It's not, oh, this
That's
is
all
my
that matters.
philosophy.
That's all that matters. What's best for the players? Players win you games. Managers never do. Managers can lose you games.
Hmm. Yeah, and with Palmer, I'd say last season wasn't as good. I think that's fair to say, but I think he'll come back strong next season because he's not at the World Cup either. That could be a good thing for him.
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell what Cole Palmer's thinking. I, I sometimes think that Tosin is the only person in the world who knows what he's thinking. I don't know.
Yeah,
I hope so, because following the departure in 2019 of Eden Hazard, Cole Palmer has been our life support
yeah,
in terms of entertainment and everything. I don't look upon him as possessing football intelligence. I look upon him as being a football visionary, um, like nobody else. You know, I think Enzo Fernandez was our tactically most intelligent player. Um, uh, I do believe that if you buy a lot of players on data, I put on my American pronunciation, that you'll get extreme elite athletes, but you may get extreme elite athletes without any football intelligence whatsoever. And I think we're overrun with them, I'm afraid. Cole Palmer is a much better athlete than he's given credit for. He can move, Cole Palmer, when he strides, uh, and is just a visionary.
yeah. I mean, in recent years, he's been one of the few players that gets you off your seat, isn't he? Really? I mean,
He's been the only one.
yeah. I was being
Esteban,
nice,
Esteban. You
but
were
yeah,
thinking,
he's the only one really.
yeah,
He just
Esteban.
Es-
Esteban
and
couldn't.
Esteban's got to play more, hasn't he? I think, and you know, like you were saying about younger players, they don't get any better after a certain age. I think some players are better when they're younger because they've got that lightning pace. If you think of like Michael Owen, I think he's an example.
Yeah, but Michael Owen did have a career-changing injury,
Hmm.
and that happens. Yeah, yeah. But certainly that's true. I mean, Alan Shearer, people forget, had a career-changing injury. He just went on going, instead of getting 30 goals a season, he went on going getting 20 goals a season. Yeah. Listen, at 20, Peter Osgood had a career-changing injury. Um, but he turned himself from a European style technical centre forward into a strong English style centre forward and still did the business. So, um, but yeah, yeah, with with other players. it's just an end of development.
We want to see more of Esteval, though, don't we? I think every Chelsea supporter wants to
Yeah.
see more of him.
If I had my way, I'd play him on the left with Palmer on the right.
Mm.
If I had my way, and I'm talking last season, I'd have played 4-3-3. And the reason I'd have played 4-3-3 was whichever way we played, we were just vulnerable through the middle, people running at us through the middle. And if you've got three compact players against the ball in front of your back four, it just gives you more chance to get control of the ball and work it forward. And our problem is we've got an overload of number sixes, uh, Caicedo, obviously, Santos, Asugo, um, uh, and I've left some out there. Who have I left out? That
It's a lot.
Lavia,
Yeah,
the rarely cited Romeo Lavia, and really the only number eight in the club, the only box to box midfielder was Enzo Fernandez. No one else. But I would have gone with a three of Santos, Caicedo, and Enzo, and then a three of Palmer, Pedro, and Esteban. See, two visionaries wide, maybe not two intelligent footballers, but two visionaries wide, and an intelligent one in the middle. Um,
very exciting players.
and and I wouldn't have gone with the brain dead ones because elite football you can't be brain dead. Mentioning
And
no names.
and finally, where do you think we'll finish next season? That's the
Oh, I haven't got
impossible
a clue.
question.
I haven't got a clue. I mean,
You wouldn't like to say.
we need to sign an elite centre back. I would like to see us sign an elite goalkeeper. I don't think that's Mike Penders. Um, uh, and I would like to see us sign an elite number eight. And if Enzo leaves, we need to sign two elite number eights. Um, and we may need to sign a left back. Now, there's talk of Bacco coming, isn't there? Is that his name from Strasbourg? Who wasn't always a first teamer in Strasbourg, and who was a left wing back or a left winger, but I don't think ever really played left back. Um, they had some old guy at left back, the name of Chilwell. Um, so he wasn't a left back. So I Hatto has qualities, but is he going to be a top player? Um, we'll see. We'll see. Uh,
I'm going to say top six. That's my prediction.
really?
Yeah, I
Um,
think we'll do all right next season. You know,
in
I'd like to say top four, but I think that's a bit after the last season we had. I think top six is kind of a bit more realistic, a bit more safe a prediction.
A fit Levi Colwell will make a huge amount of difference. I'm looking for him now, aged 23, to have that meteoric rise this season to turn him into a world-class player. I think Tuchel made a mistake not taking him to the World Cup. Um, um, and I mean, Dan Burn plays like Levi Colwell's grandfather, doesn't he? But uh, we need a 100% fit Reece James playing right back and allowed to go up and down the flank. Um, we need a rejuvenated Moises Caicedo, who really fell away in the second half of the season. 16 yellow cards he picked up last season. A lot of that was just because his game is all about challenging when he's tired. Um, and we need an elite centre forward. Uh, to joust with João Pedro and Pedro to joust in other positions as well. Um, and so I think there's a long way to go. A long way to go. Um,
And do you
and
think Alonso will be given time? I don't think Chelsea have given time to a manager, not for a very long time. I mean, when I say given time, 3 seasons, that would be a long time, really. It's impossible to say, really, but
Well, if I think back, um, uh, a manager who has lasted a season and not won something and gone into the next season since Abramovich arrived.
be Ranieri, wouldn't it?
No,
No?
Ranieri had 1 year under Abramovich and didn't win anything and went.
Oh, but I mean, before that, he
Yeah,
was at
before
Chelsea
that.
a long time, wasn't he? That was the
Yeah.
last long time point.
But the last manager that I can think of who didn't win anything and stayed, two. Mourinho in 2014, and of course he won the league and the League Cup the following season. And
Lovely.
Lampard in 2020, and he got sacked the February of the following March of the following season.
It is interesting that they've kept that philosophy, although a lot of the rest of the club is being run a different way in terms
I
of you
don't
getting
think they
signed.
have.
You
I
don't
don't
think they
think
have?
they have. No, because I think what happened was that uh, winning was everything. And if it wasn't working, it was changed under Roman. And under this lot, I think that making the young players play is everything. And I think they're making a lot of bad choices in who they're selecting as their coach, with a lot of bad project ideas that are restricting the kind of people they can choose. And I think they're getting it wrong. And they see they're getting it wrong.
So
Um,
do you think Alonso will be allowed to be more of a manager, or is this, do we really believe this?
that is the best question you've asked. And I haven't got an answer. But that is the best question you've asked
We'll find
because
out.
I haven't got a clue. What do you think?
I wouldn't like to say, really. I'll believe it when I see it.
Do you
Is
think he had a say in Mark Cucurella going? I mean, he doesn't start work till July the 1st.
Well, no, that's true. But I mean, I hope that he
They're
has
having conversations.
he has more of an input in the signings and etc. That's what I hope. But whether I believe it or not, I won't believe it until I see it.
I think two things are clear. One is that if you buy Brighton, you become Brighton. And the other thing is you become a second-rate Brighton because they finished up in Europe this coming season and we haven't. They finished above us in the league.
I mean, what's happened has happened, but I did always find it strange that when they came in, they got rid of everybody. I know that's a different debate, but then they decided to appoint people from, lower Premier League clubs. I never got that. I thought they would go out and get the best people in Europe.
I think that was the most stupid thing imaginable. I'd like to say one other thing. Robert Sanchez, who I've defended a lot, uh, and I don't think he's nearly as bad a goalkeeper as people say. Up until Maresca leaving, I think he was Chelsea's best player, player of the year. And up until Maresca leaving, I think he was arguably the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, which is the exact opposite of the João Pedro story. Because after Maresca left, he fell apart. He was awful in the second half of the season. Now, was that fatigue? We had 3 games, January and early February against Arsenal, and he got bullied in them. And the other thing that happened that nobody talked about was Maresca's goalkeeper coach went with him. And listen, when you change goalkeeper coach, it's not only changing your coach, it's like changing the country in which you're playing. Because he would have gone from an Italian or Spanish or whatever coach to an English one. Now, one he knew because it was Ben Roberts who he had at Brighton, but it was under the previous coach that he'd found the form that he'd been seeking probably all his career, and then it kind of just went. Can I pick out one moment of the season
Yeah,
that
sure.
put me up the wall? Arsenal away in the league. There are a lot of claims that Sanchez got fouled from the corner. that he came for and missed. And I think it was a fullback who headed it in. I can't remember. It might be Ben White, was it? I can't remember who it was. But a fullback headed it in. Um, and when I got home, I watched it back uh, on the recording. And when they showed it from behind the goal line, from behind the goal, the camera behind the goal, as the corner was taken, we had three players on the line. Someone standing near the near post, Wes Fofana in the middle, and João Pedro on the far post. When João Pedro was watching the clutch of players just beyond him, and we were one down on that clutch, so João Pedro should have come out and challenged and didn't. But the most stupid thing of all was Wes Fofana came storming off the line as the corner was taken to the edge of the 6-yard box. And as he went past Sanchez, he brushed him. He hit him shoulder to shoulder. And when people were saying it was Trossard who put Sanchez off guard and it was a foul or off his stance and it was a foul, it wasn't. It was Wes flipping Fofana, who in the second half of the season played like he drives.
Well, it's been great to speak to you, Neil. Thanks a lot for joining us, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again soon. Always great.
Uh, June the 19th, fixtures.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Who do you want first game of the season?
Um, Not Coventry, because I want Alonso to get a bigger reception than the visiting manager. So I will go with who came up in the playoffs? Hull.
Hull. Yeah.
Hull, first game of the season. Hull, 6-0 to us. Whoever we buy, whoever we put out, 6-0 to us, first game of the season.
In the past, I'd always want a big fixture, but after last season, I think I'm in agreement with you. Somebody just promoted.
Yeah.
Great. Cheers, Neil. Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Love to everyone.